All right, it's time for my monthly coverage of the TRIMET Board of Directors. And here's our new chairman, Ozzy Gonzalez, the man who spearheaded the assault on truth by claiming that Opal was guilty of everything and TriMet was innocent of everything. And then his buddy over here at Portland.org, right there, came right up. And his buddy Jonathan Mouse, right here. Good old Jonathan Mouse. There he is, right there. He picked up Ozzy's psyop and ran with it. It's a dark day for democracy when special interests pay people to disrupt meetings. Yes, Ozzy, it sure is a dark day for democracy. You fucking hack. But I'll hand it to you. You pulled it off. Apparently it worked to some extent. Nobody really challenged you except me, and nobody cares what I think. So I'm a nobody. So it didn't matter. And a lot of people bought into it. And then Opal didn't defend themselves at this current meeting, which makes me wonder. I believe the next step for Opal and the activists is the fair strike in January, because as they've been shown quite clearly, talking to the sock puppets is 100% waste of time. They only do it because they're required by law to listen to you. They don't care what you think. They don't care what you say. They just do it because they're required to do it. They don't care what the public thinks. 99% said no to the fare increase, but they are beholden to the banks, and the banks wanted the fare increase, and they are agents of the oligarchy. And everybody who's an agent of the oligarchy gets contracts from the government, which is owned by the oligarchy, and gets wealthy. I mean, look at Dessous. He's getting $1,000 a day. For what? For his smile? Anyway, my buddy Neil Berlin, who, like me, took his jobs more seriously than just a job. We both had a job, but we took it seriously. Okay. It was more than just a job. We were trying to make things better over there. Okay. We were actually put some heart into it. And that's why he's still talking about it. And that's why I'm still talking about it, because it was more than just a job. And he did a little comment on Ozzy. So let me let me read it to you because it's funny. What is up with? Let me make it so you can read it with me. What is up with the odds? He says search speech pattern. Okay, he's just typing this off to me on a in a messenger, and I'm just copying it. I didn't do any correction on spelling it. It's kind of like PDX scanner. He's just whipping off his tweets, and he's not going to take time spell checking, or he's never going to get done. Sounds like he's trying to be feminine or gay. Maybe I need to put in my hearing aid. No, he does have a little bit of a feminine uh, speech pattern, but personally, I don't have any problem with that. But I've noticed that too. Also, who in the hell speaks with the simplistic, phony sounding, sympathetic pentameter? I don't even know what that word means. Is that an actual word? Let's look it up. Yeah, it is an actual word. A line of verse consisting of 5 metrical feet. Oh, yeah, okay. Good one, Neil. I can only conclude that he's trying to thread the needle between the totalitarian sounding,
Yes.
okay, the totalitarian sounding former dictator, I mean, director Warner, and the woman who just left, an academic idiot who belittled those who did not agree with her logic. And yes, 100% on that one. I have no idea who these people are in the background. Yeah, I bet they're all Democrats. Of course, they're all Democrats. It's Portland is shit lib capital, you know. I bet they're all, and since the governor has to nominate him. The TriMet board directed Bobbin Hill show will continue. Yes, it will. It will continue forever. I've been watching it for many years. The face has changed. Nothing else ever changes. But I think that Ozzy might be a little. I mean, Linda Simmons was really bad at this job. Really bad. And for even the public speaking part, I thought better. I thought Ozzy was better at it immediately. Immediately. So let's continue our coverage of the great TriMet Board of Sock Puppets.
So let's begin with board reports. First, with Director Edwards to provide an update on the latest meeting on the Committee on Accessible Transit, otherwise known as our CAT Committee. Director Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a report this month because
Yeah, let me just repeat it again in case you missed it. This guy who attacked Opal, who said he really shouldn't be on the directors at all. Okay, even though I like him personally, after what he pulled, he shouldn't be here at all. But here he is, head of the TriMet. He's chairman of the board. Just so you understand how it works. We don't have any say in anything ever. It's in anything that happens in government. These people are running everything, and we have no say. And they're going to run us into the ground. There's already like a third of the population living in tents. But these people are oblivious to all that because they're all part of the club of elites that are enjoying life and have plenty of money to do whatever they want and are oblivious to the suffering around them.
we didn't have a CAT meeting last week, but I will defer to the general manager who attended the CAT luncheon.
What?
I'll have some comments in my opening statement.
We get the usual little bit. What? I don't know what do I look. I gotta take a picture of that. Perfect. That's your Sam in a nutshell right there. Look, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam, for providing me with my TriMet-oriented entertainment.
For the general manager's report, but I do want to say that we had a wonderful time at the CAT luncheon. It was well attended, and
I will say for him, I would never be able to do his job. Ever, 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 ever. Maintain this rah-rah, shish boom bah attitude 100% of the time. I mean, that does take a certain degree of difficulty.
there were great comments, and also there was a award presentation that was made there as well. So I'll cover that shortly.
Okay, of course. We'll cover that shortly. Don't hit. There's his Mussolini look. Oh my God, I love this. See, move in. There you go. There's your inclusion up there. It's such a comedy show. I love this show. I really love it. I mean, it's been like 18, 19 years I've been watching it, and it's always never failed to amuse me.
Okay. Are there any questions at this time? It sounds like
Any questions? There's no report, Ozzy. There's no questions. Ozzy, baby.
we're going to hear a little more. Seeing no questions from the board, I'll move us over to Director Kim, who has updates from both the Metro Policy Advisory Committee, MPAC, and the Accountability Committee.
Of course.
Director Kim?
The Accountability Committee. It's just comedy at this point. Accountability.
At the May MPAC meeting, Metro provided an update on the Oregon Housing Needs Analysis and how recent changes to state law with the passage of HB 2001 will change how the state, Metro, and local jurisdictions undertake planning for housing. So these changes are intended to further housing production throughout the region and increase housing choice at all levels of affordability. So
yeah, sure. I'm sure it's going to be great. Like government's doing so great. Everything they touch fails. and everything they do feeds the elite. They've done nothing for people that need it, nothing. And I'm sure this is another one.
Metro also updated the group on the highway high-capacity transit strategy. This work has established a long-term version of high-capacity transit in the region.
See, so even though there's still 22% cut in service, they're still talking about these expansions. This is how absurd this is. This is how absurd they are, man. Nobody sees it. Nobody pays attention to this. Why would they? I mean, the whole world's falling apart. You think they want to pay attention to this little crummy agency and the criminality that goes on here when you've got bigger criminality going on at all other levels? But the criminality is system-wide.
And a pipeline for future potential projects. The focus now is on the revision of the draft report before it is incorporated into the 2020.
See, look at this. It's bureaucracy. They've got they got some director, some assistant director, some administrative assistant, maybe two directors, maybe one of those analysts. So they have this whole bureaucracy studying this ridiculous whatever he's talking about.
23 RTP document, which will be available for public review in July. AMPEC meets again tonight, and we'll discuss Metro's community placemaking grants, Metro's transit-oriented development program, and the potential of middle housing as a part of urban growth management.
Oh, by the way, Portland is losing people. The metro area is losing people. It's not because of the homeless. It's too expensive to live. The migrations happen because of money. Okay, money controls every aspect of our life. It's too expensive to live in Oregon and in California and in Washington. So people, of course, are heading south where it's cheap to live. Of course, I'd rather pay more and live in California, Oregon, and Washington than go south and save. But some people don't have that option.
Concludes my report for AMPEC. Now, as for my other report, let me pull it up.
Blow it up. You don't have it memorized, Thomas? Go on, Thomas. Go on. Come on. Mr. Kim, we are waiting for you.
The accountability committee meeting, we had our first meeting of 2023 on June 6th. All members were in attendance. Committee member Dave Whipple provided the committee with a comparison of year-over-year page views on Accountability and Transparency Center. And as with our last meeting, the committee was particularly interested to see whether the new look and feel of TRIMET.org that we launched in early 2000.
Wait a minute. The new website made it harder to find the Accountability Center, just so you know. I pointed that out previously.
2022 might have an impact on visits to the center.
Yes.
And I'm pleased to report that any impact continues to be positive.
Yeah, sure.
A look at overall page views for the month of May 2023 compared to last year showed there were 3.6% increase year over year in page views. And to the extent that any of the board members are interested, we can do a quick show when time permits. Otherwise, you're all free to visit at your convenience.
Tell us how many page views. Does it get more than my blog? Last time they did a report, it didn't.
The top 5 areas that were visited on the page were the Accountability and Transparency Center, ridership and performance statistics, Board of Directors meeting schedule and agenda,
That's
FY
me.
2022 finance report, the FY 2024 approved budget, and TRIMET's performance dashboard. And we also reviewed the new feature about State Transportation Improvement Fund, HB 2017, spending that I thought would be worthwhile to share, and we'll share that in a minute. And as you may see on the screen, the information is in a very easy to digestible format and depicts where the STIF monies go. And during the meeting, we also reviewed the Accountability and Transparency website to ensure that all of the materials were updated. And any out.
Shut up, stop. So where is that going? That was supposed to go to increased fares. Service increase and maintenance only 24%. But that's just service increase and maintenance. They gave 16% of it to the, that they did this only just so they can look good. Streetcar got 3%. Regional coordination, that's waste. So 9% went to bureaucracy. Compliance organization, 0. Security, which means, your dimwits running around out there pretending police, 7%. Stop amenities got 2%. Gutter bus transit priority got 5%. Student fares only got 1%. Human services transit, what the hell is that? And most of it went to the zero emission bus program, which does nothing to help riders, but it's the New World Order agenda. We all have to go green. But the military industrial complex gets a waiver on this. The military industrial complex is like 75% of all the pollution. But we, the serfs, must go green.
Updated materials will removed, and next meeting is in December. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. Are there any questions from the board?
Isn't Ozzy? He's completely different from Simmons. Simmons was irritating. Thank God she's gone. They're cowardly board did their fare increase, and then 2 of them left and just kind of left. Now, what's interesting about that, by the way, was they usually give themselves little awards after their 8 years of service. They didn't give them the awards this year. This time they didn't give themselves an award. They just snuck out the back door after having facilitated the dirty work.
Board members from Director Kim's MPAC or Accountability Committee reports? I do have a question, and for the new board members in the group, that's what these little guys are here.
Oh, look, there's the little hand thing.
They'll help raise a hand at any time, and I'll do my best in monitoring what order they are raised in.
How long has Ozzy been on this board? I know he was the next senior member. I'm just curious how long he's been on the board. Let me look it up real quick. TRIMET Board of Directors. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay. Ozzy has been on here. He came on 2018. All right. So he's got 3 years. He's going to be board chairman for 3 years. We're going to get to see him for 3 straight years. Osvaldo, let me read you his little TRIMET. This is on the TRIMET.org page. Osvaldo, and then in quotes, Ozzy Gonzalez has particular knowledge of TRIMET as he has worked on capital projects with the agency since 2011, providing professional design services through his role at CH2M Hill. Holy mother fucking shit. I did not know that until now. I never bothered to read it. So he is really an insider. And his role as director for diversity. Diversity, here we go. Oh, by the way, speaking of diversity, the Supreme Court just threw out affirmative action. I wonder what that should do. I imagine that would give standing to any contractors from this point on who did not get a contract by TRIMET Capital's project divisions because they were specifically targeted for a minority contract. I would imagine that has opened the gate for class action lawsuits against all public agencies that are doing that, because they've just struck down affirmative action. So, if I were a contractor and I was losing contracts because of TRIMETs, we need to give these contracts to affirmative action contractors. I would probably consider suing, because now's your opportunity. You got this conservatives there. Go get your money. Gonzalez has a long standing of service in the community. He's a founding member of the U.S. Green Building Council's lead user group for industrial facilities. What the hell is that? President of the Jardine Portland Foundation. What's that? Well, he is out there, isn't he? Gonzalez serves on the boards of the Original Arts and Culture Council. My God, how do you have time for anything? The Oregon Association of Minority Entrepreneurs and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. He holds a master's degree in architecture from California Polytechnic, University in Sonoma, and bachelor's degree in environmental service from Humboldt. Gonzalez and his family regularly use, so he's really, okay, I never read his biography before. How do these people have time for all this, you know? I mean, I barely can get out of bed. And here's this guy involved with all these things. But I mean, you know, if you want to make money and be on the inside clubs, that's how you have to do it.
So I have a question, Director Kim. Being that the Accountability Committee has just been formed, they had their first meeting. Can you just let us know how big is the committee? How is it's beyond just TRIMET representation?
So it's not quite new, right? So it's been around, although it was the first meeting of 2023, the first meeting of the year. And I mean, I think it's good to note that we had a newest member, Mimi, and to be sure, these members are all TRIMET folks.
Oh. Did you hear that? The Accountability Committee is all TriMet people. How can you not appreciate the comedy in all of this? It's a comedy show, everybody. It's almost as good as the Biden comedy show. Almost as good as the Trump comedy show. Almost as good as DeSantis comedy show, where you have all of these guys talking ridiculous nonsense. This is what they're doing. So the Accountability Center is all TriMet people. I'm sure that's going to really facilitate accountability.
And Mimi has been with TRIMET, to highlight her, the new member, about 3 years now, and will be a great addition to the committee with her experience in.
How many people are on the committee, Thomas? He just asked you a specific question.
Making information accessible to individuals who are neurodiverse. And so Shelley's on there, Dave is there, and Dave's the one who's showing around all of the website, showing all the technical summaries. So it's a very productive board, productive committee, although we're only meeting twice a year. But to the
They meet twice a year, and they're all comprised of TriMet people. That's called the Accountability Committee, ladies and gentlemen.
extent that there's additional needs, we're happy to sync separately as well. So.
You didn't answer his question. His question was how many people were on this. You didn't answer it.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's some good context.
And Ozzy didn't follow up.
If there are no further questions, I'd like to move us now to Director Y, who will provide an update.
And here's the only hero of the TriMet board, Director Y. Or I thought it was Way, Kathy Way. I don't know. The only hero that voted no and then walked out at the end of the meeting. So she's my personal hero as well as, and Joe Kunstler thanked her too. And so she's got some guts. And they didn't throw her off the board yet, which they might because she went against the rest of the board. And my experience has always been that if you don't do what the administrators want you to do, they get rid of you.
On the Transit Equity Advisory Committee, otherwise known as TEAC. Director Y.
Thank you. Hello and good morning, everybody and board. So TEAC had a fairly busy month in June. So I will first start off with the agenda for the June 13th board meeting. We received system updates by staff around an RFP process, the FAIR proposal decision, and then the Better Red program.
Better Red. I don't know how they get away with that. I don't know how they even get away with that Better Red nonsense. But nobody challenged it. It's me. Nobody cares about me.
And then that was also followed by a similar report that Director Kim just provided on Metro's high-capacity transit project strategy update, followed by TOD, which is the transit-oriented development.
None of those things help any riders. Notice how all of these reports are about things that have no use to a rider.
That is our plan around, how do we make sure that we're also playing our part in sort of the housing ecosystem that's in our region, while also linking that housing to transit pathways. So that was very exciting. Thank you so much for that update. And then we also received a report out on the very first meeting that was held on the Fare Subsidy Workgroup meeting. So I just wanted to expand a little bit on that particular point because I was not able to attend the meeting, but Amparo Angosto, who's really been leading those efforts with John Gardner and his team, have just, I feel like, really done a phenomenal job of really just leading a brand new work group on a topic that I know many of us are very interested in. So during that first particular work group meeting, they discussed new models and funding sources for subsidizing transit with a particular focus on fareless transit systems. Some of the main points of discussion revolved around two key questions. They are, what do you want to learn about subsidized fare programs across the country? And second, what questions do you have about potential funding sources that could be used to support riders or new rider programs?
And I can tell you right now that you have this bloated bureaucracy at TriMet where you could move a lot of those people right on out of that agency with a pink slip and use that for your fare free. Because just take a look at the TriMet bureaucracy. It's huge.
There were several participants who raised important questions and points, including access to transit programs, what are the effectiveness of current programs, coverage for different diverse populations, sustainability of funding sources, what are benefits and drawbacks of fareless systems, and impact on ridership and community. And the first work group meeting, they also touched on other topics like what is the time cost of passengers, scheduling, equity considerations, environmental measures, and grant funding opportunities. So as you can see, it sounded like it was a very, very full agenda. And again, I've been fairly hands-off with this group and really just relying on the facilitation and expertise of our staff, as well as our community volunteers who've signed up to be a part of this. So my next check-in with the TriMet team will be this Friday morning, and just to kind of ask, some basic questions around what is the timeline for the work group, as well as will some of the information be publicly available, i.e., can people go on our TriMet website and get more information about the work group and the outcomes and who is participating. So that is all I have. And next month, TIAC is not meeting. They're taking a little break, which is great for everyone, and they hope to resume in August.
Okay, a whole bunch of nothing there. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you for that report, Director Y. Are there any questions from board members? I see Director Frisbee has a question.
Director Frisbee, the insider who worked for Blumenauer.
Thank you so much for your service on the TIAC committee.
Could you turn the microphone on? Our online folks will hear it that way.
Sorry, guys, we're working through all this. I just want to say thank you for your work on the TIAC committee.
Oh, shut up. What do you mean thank you? You just got here. You shouldn't be thanking anybody for anything. Just shut up and listen.
And would love for the board to be kept abreast as the work on the fareless piece moves forward. And I would be particularly interested in case studies of places where they have tested fareless systems.
All you got to do is a Google search, okay? There's multiple cities in this country that have some degree of fare free on certain lines, certain places. It's in Europe. Let's remember that American public transportation is garbage compared to Europe and Asia. I mean, they have a very strong case against fare free transit in Europe and Asia because it's such good transit. Okay. Here it's garbage, and I'm talking about everywhere in this country. It's all garbage. You really shouldn't have to pay for any of this because it's so unreliable and garbage.
And the impacts, particularly to BIPOC communities in the year or 2 years or 3 years after. I think some of those long-term case studies might be particularly instructive and helpful for us.
If you really believed in equity, you would do the fareless transit because that brings equity into the entire system. No longer, because we all know that the fares hit the poor the hardest. You don't need a PhD in MSW or social work or economics to understand that when you increase a fare, increase the cost of anything, the poorest people suffer the most. That's just logic.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Frisbee. Indeed, it's been part of the process of the agency to look into those things, and I would highly encourage our staff to reach out to Director Frisbee and bring her abreast of what we have explored and are continuing to learn.
Yeah. Stop lying to us, you liar. God, you were the worst. You were the worst of them when it came to the fare increase, Ozzy. Don't gaslight us, okay?
From our agency partners around the country. This is certainly an important topic. And Director Y, thank you for that report. I'm certainly excited for the work that's coming from the subsidy work group meetings.
Did you see something fly by there? Did you see that? Something flew right by there.
And I'm glad to know that you are involved and interested in that very important work. So thank you. Look forward to the next update. Any other questions?
Did you see that? Just flew
for
by
Director
again.
White? Very good.
Was it?
So now I'd like to turn to, let's see here. Lastly, here we go.
General
I'd like to
Manager.
turn now to Director Lewis on the Crash Advisory Committee's latest
they
meeting.
got another
Director Lewis?
report. Okay, there's another one. What's the crash advisory? I don't think have they done this one before?
Thank you, Director Gonzalez. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
For the benefit of our new members, I'll just give a little quick narrative on what the Crash Advisory Committee is and its function. The TRIMET Crash Advisory Committee was established under Senate Bill 1053 in 2020 to provide external review of crashes involving TriMet vehicles. The committee meets 2 to 3 times a year and consists of 7 members, including one which is a board member. During the meetings, the members review certain crashes involving TriMet buses.
All right, let me read to you about this. ORS 267.480. TriMet Crash Advisory. The TriMet Crash Advisory Committee is established. The committee consists of 7 members appointed by TriMet's general manager. So there you go. So in other words, it's nothing. It's all controlled by the TriMet general manager. So he obviously will appoint his cronies and supporters. So it's a complete farce. I just read that right from the law.
And trains in an effort to improve public safety, build understanding and an awareness of the reasons for the crashes, and to assist in avoiding future crashes.
This one meets twice a year, too. Jesus, what a joke.
Members of the committee met June 6 via WebEx, and there were 14 crashes between November 2021 to May of 2022.
No, there are a lot more than that, so there must be some kind of a threshold that they're using before they look at it. I mean, I can't possibly look at the mirrors, for example. There's hundreds of those. Even though they should, because they should compel the management to change the mirror configuration, but they didn't look at that, I'm sure.
Of those 14 crashes, the committee members selected 5 for review at that meeting. Those 5 crashes consisted of 5 pedestrian crashes, 0 vehicle crashes, and 1 fatality. To date, the committee has been provided 81 crashes for review, of which 31 crashes were reviewed and discussed over our 3-year period. Those 31 crashes consisted of 8 buses and 23 rail crashes, which consisted of 21 pedestrian crashes, 9 vehicle crashes, 1 bicycle crash, and 8 resulting in fatalities.
8, okay, 8 fatalities. 8? You hear that? 8 fatalities in a year.
A discussion and review of a crash can consist of reviewing the asset report, the operator's report, supervisor reports, police reports, the event recording data, numerous, and I'll say numerous, videos from the buses. We have an overwhelming amount of excellent camera footage, light rail, from the buses, light rail, and the platform, including photos and, unfortunately, the ME's report. Occasionally,
Medical examiner.
members of the committee will physically visit the crash sites to add to their feedback and recommendations during the meetings. Also, during our June meeting, the members reviewed a draft of recommendations that summarize the committee member input, and that will be submitted to the board and general manager at a forthcoming date. Our committee members are Barry Lundberg, member of the Committee on CAT, Committee of Accessible Transportation; Chris Strong, Transportation Division Manager for the City of Gresham and a credentialed engineer; Haug Haydorn, Associate Director at PSU Transportation Research and Educational Center; Jeff Podolsky, Executive Director of West Side Transportation Alliance; Peter Coots of PDOT, Director for Lights and Signals; Scott Kocher, Director, Chair, and Attorney, and Board Member of Oregon Walks, Families for Safe Streets, including myself. Thank you also to Libby Winter for
You didn't mention that they all had to be approved by the TriMet general manager. They didn't just get the job. The TriMet general manager had to approve them.
our admin support and supplying us with all of the videos and information for our
So
crashes.
are they going to give us some conclusions or nothing?
Our next meeting is November 8th. We did have a presentation from Metro at our meeting on Metro Vision Zero. That's an approach to ending traffic fatalities. I think that is it.
So you had a meeting and you had 8 fatalities and a whole bunch of crashes, and you're not going to give us any results of your meeting. Like, we determined XYZ, we made changes this way. You're not going to give us anything. You're just going to tell us you have a meeting. Yeah, okay.
Oh, we did have also a conversation on TriMet, exploring the partnerships with Operation Life Safety, which includes outreach and communication education on the opportunities that are available for street safety. That concludes my report.
That's useless. That's useless. Nothing. You gave us nothing.
Thank you, Director Lewis. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, I really appreciate the summary of the work of the crash committee. It's good for us as board
What summary? Yeah, you met about these accidents and you didn't give us any results of your meeting.
members and the public to be reminded of that work. It's an important part of what we do to not only help improve safety and learn from our mistakes, frankly, but to collaborate with other agencies. So thank you for that. Now, I'd like to turn to our general manager.
All right. You know that's going to be the usual nothing. But we will conclude there, and we had a little action I want to play you. We had two, oh, by the way, here's a picture of Pergosian, George Bush, and you know who. Okay, I don't care about that here. were 2 mace attacks on TriMet Max.
2539.
2539.
We're at Lloyd Center and a man just got on the train pepper spraying people. He's an African American male about in his 40s, gray jacket, black shorts, white and gray sneakers.
He just decided to get on and let off some mace. Attaboy. Okay, that's another one. All these incidents are on my Twitter and my blog. And here's the other one.
Train 7.
Train 7.
Train 7, I am westbound Oaken first. I think somebody got a loud verbal and maybe some mace sprayed in the train.
Okay, get to your next platform and open your doors.
Train 7, copy that.
Now that was a fight that precipitated the mace. The first one we heard was just some guy trying to have fun, I guess. He just said, I'm going to go in there and mace people. Because that's how crazy we are as a society right now. And this one was involved in a fight. Anyway, that's enough for now. Over and out.